Hey guys, Mr. 3D Hero here. In today's video from the Loadout series, I'm going to be attempting my way of creating a Captain Latimosa loadout that he would have used if he was still alive. So sit back, relax, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of the video. So the name of the loadout is called the Captain Latimosa loadout, and like I said previously, I'm going to be trying my best at interpreting what he would have used if he was alive still, and if he was, say for example, piloting a Titan or just a normal rifleman in game. So let's go into the main loadout. The class we're going to be using is Sonar. Sonar allows us to see areas of where enemies may or may not be. It's great for telling us, or it's great for warning us ahead of time if an enemy is going to be there or coming at us. It's great for telling us if an enemy is basically camping, and it's great for telling us where all the enemies may be located. In many ways, it's kind of great for backing you up in tough situations. I also went with the loadout simply because of the class. The class looks quite familiar to what a rifleman militia would be wearing. And now if we compare this against the Latimosa model seen in game, you can see kind of how similar they are, but 50-50. Now it depends on how you want to go with it. You can either go with the male or you can go with the female body. Either way, they both look quite similar, but like I said, because this is more of what I would think, you can always change the class to something else. But this is what I genuinely think that Latimosa would have looked like if he was using the Sonar class. Now, the prime we're going to be using is the R201. Now, the R201 allows us to be quite effective in medium to close range situations. Sometimes you'll be effective in longer range situations, but that requires you to burst. And plus, the weapon has quite a ridiculous recoil at longer distances. That's why I advise you to try and stick to more close to medium range fights, as you have a more better chance. It's also quite a common weapon used by the IMC and the militia group, so it kind of fits the bill for someone like Latimosa, someone who is quite common on the battlefield, but he'll most likely be sticking to his main roots of the main primary weapon that all riflemen will be using. A secondary now, it could be split into two weapons. We'll be either using the Archer. Archer will be great for taking out anti-Titan or anti-stationary gear, and then we'll be using the Wingman Elite for taking out either pilots in Pilot vs Pilots or AI. Now, I'll explain later on why we'll be using two weapons, as I pretty much split the clip into two ways, just to show you kind of two sides to them. But it also ties into what boost we're going to be also using. And the boost we'll be using is the Smart Pistol. Now, the Smart Pistol, I chose this weapon simply because, like, one, it's underused. Two, I believe that Captain Latimosa is one of those type of people that would have used the Smart Pistol as much as possible. And three, if many of you actually remember, in the last and final mission, Cooper takes out I believe a Sears kit, and now this Sears kit is kind of a last resort or last measure type of emergency kit that allows pilots to basically have a weapon and a data knife on them at all times in case of a situation where they get captured or they have all their gear taken. If I remember right, within that Sears kit, it basically had a Smart Pistol that basically allows them to fight a little longer in case of they try to escape. Now, this is what I think that Captain Latimosa would have had if he got captured, or in another case, if he was going to go onto secret missions, he would be using this as much as possible, considering that it kind of fits the bill of what Captain Latimosa is and what type of person he plays as. Now, the ordnance I'm going to be using is Basic Grenade. Basic Grenade is kind of a standard a rifleman type gear that I believe that everyone will probably be using, and everyone should at least try and give it a go with. It basically allows us to clear out areas that are tight cornered, and allows us to clear out areas that I believe may have a bunch of enemies or AIs located in. Now, combine that with the Sonar class, that basically allows us to actually clear out areas at a much quicker pace and a much safer way as well, as long as you cook the grenade as pretty much. You can always use the Arc Grenade. The Arc Grenade allows you to stun pilots for a short amount of time, but only use the Arc Grenade if you're in, say for example, an attrition mode where you're up against Titans or Pilot vs Sentries or anything that may involve small corners that you may be able to use the Arc Grenade in. Because you have to remember, the Arc Grenade doesn't have a wide radius. It only hits people within its close range, either on impact or within the vicinity. But compare that with the normal grenades. Now, normal grenades have quite a large radius and allows you to catch out a group of pilots or a group of AI within a small time frame. Now, the pilot kit we're going to be using is the Fast Regeneration and Low Profile. Both of these work in conjunction with each other. Fast Regeneration allows us to heal much quicker, and Low Profile basically allows us to move about at a much quieter pace, and allows us to also jump onto Titans quietly and take our batteries out, and also muffle our jetpack so that when we're moving about, we can always get away with a nice and so when we're moving about, we can always avoid contact within certain situations. Say for example, if you're getting chased, if you have your jetpack fuel and you're jumping up to buildings, you'll always get spotted, and that usually ends up leading to your death. Now with low profile adds this, it basically allows us to actually muffle our jetpack fuel and basically allow us to get out of tough situations that, you know, may have caused us to end up dying. Or you can always change the tide depending on how you feel. And your Titan, in this gameplay I went with Ion because Ion kind of fits the bill and it kind of looks similar to what BT would have or kind of looks like. But you can always change that to whatever Titan you want, since we can't really be as precise to what Titan that Captain Latimosa uses. Since we know that Captain Latimosa uses BT, who is a Vanguard type Titan, it's not going to be possible to actually add that into multiplayer. So in this case, I recommend that you go with whatever you want. Now gameplay wise, I had to split this into two ways. One will be focusing on the Titans, and another will be focusing on the pilot versus pilot. For now, I'm going to be focusing on the Titans play, and in the Titans play, you kind of want to play your build just like any normal frontal soldier. You basically got all the means to counter a lot of situations. Now in this case, for your secondary, you'll be using your archer. Now your archer is going to be helping you with taking out Titans at small, medium and long distances. And although the archer is slow to fire and it's not always reliable, it is quite hard hitting, and it does do quite a bit of damage against, say, either people like Ronin or people like Northstar, some people who are quite vulnerable in their chassis. And now when you combine that with your primary weapon, your R201, that basically allows you to cover multiple grounds. So while you're covering small and medium locations, you can use your archer to cover much longer distances in many ways, and then it allows you to have the advantage over everyone. Then when you drop your Titan in, this basically allows you to cover even more grounds, whether you want to put your Titan into a follow mode. If you want to put him into follow mode, I suggest you add a aggressive chip to him to make him more sentient and more aggressive, depending on your Titan. I don't really recommend that you put an aggressive chip onto Legion, as he's quite terrible, but it's kind of up to you how you want to go about this. And then also, one thing you also want to know is that if you're going to get your boost, your Smart Pistol, you need to be aware of the benefits and the disadvantages to using it. Smart Pistol is good, it's effective against AI, it locks on really quick against AI, but against pilots, it takes a bit more longer and it's not as quick and deadly as you expect it to be. Now, in most clips that you see me using Smart Pistol, it lands around, say, 3 to 4 hits, depending. But this also depends on the lock-on speed. If I lock on and it shows the red markers, it's going to be at least maybe 2 to 3 hits. If it's going to be all in your yellow or orange marker, it's going to be at least 3 to 4 hits. And also, one thing you have to remember is that when you're using Smart Pistol, the Smart Pistol kind of takes away your secondary weapon, and you'll probably see this in the second gameplay shown in the pilot versus pilot. In the pilot versus pilot gameplay, when I'm moving about with the Smart Pistol active, one thing I have to be aware of is that it takes away my secondary weapon. And now my secondary weapon in the pilot versus pilot is the Wingman Elite, and that's not really much of a disadvantage to me since I still have my main primary to help me. But this is kind of a warning to those that want to use the Smart Pistol. The one problem with the Smart Pistol is that its lock-on speed on pilot versus pilot is much slower. It's still deadly, but it doesn't have a lot in the magazine, so you have to be kind of aware. You also have to remember that it takes away your secondary weapon, like I mentioned before, and that when it does take your secondary weapon away, you don't get it back. It actually requires you to actually scavenge around. So do be aware that if you're going to be using this main boost, it takes away your secondary, and then once it's out of ammo, instead of it replacing it back with your other weapon, something that I should have introduced into the game, it stays like that. It stays empty. So you're left in two situations. Either you use your primary weapon as much as possible, or you go ahead, either die, or in a third case, that I think many people may or may not do, go look for a secondary of a dead pilot. This way you can always back yourself up. But yes, do be aware that Smart Pistol it's good. I will personally say from my personal play with it, it's good. Compared to how it was in Titanfall 1, where it was a bit more broken, in Titanfall 2 it's more better to use, it's more balanced. And because not a lot of people use it, because a lot of people kind of use it against pilots, like I said, it's more designed against AI in-game. Now, I believe if you watch the clip, you do see me use it against AI, and it locks on really quickly and kills them within one shot. And that's fine. But against pilots, it locks on much slower, and it requires you to actually lock on much longer to actually be a more instant kill. and that's completely fine because the weapon is in much better state than how it was in Titanfall 1. But like I said, do be aware of the smart pistol. It's a good weapon. I suggest you play around with it. Do be aware of the downsides to it, so lock on speed and its ability to take away your secondary weapon. But honestly, it's quite a good weapon for a boost, and it's actually quite reliable. Just one other thing I'll probably recommend is for you to just keep on the move with the weapon. Don't slow down whatsoever. Keep on the move, and if you do lock on, try and get your markers up to either yellow or orange, and then start firing. So in many ways you can conserve your ammo. If you can do that, you'll do wonders with the weapon. If you can't do that, I suggest that you use another boost that kind of accommodates your feel of the game, or something that feels much better, something that you expect that the Captain Latimosa of this game will have used, and that could be anything you want to be. So in general, the loadout's good. It's fun. I would say it has a learning curve to it. It's easy for newer players to use it for the main access of using the class, primary, secondary, ordnance and all that. Now, but when it comes down to the boost does require you to actually learn how to properly use it, and it also requires you to know the disadvantage of actually using it in some maps. So if you'll be using this type of loadout, I recommend that you use it in more smaller maps, and also recommend that if you're going to use smart pistol, try and use the smart pistol on more smaller maps. And you have to also be aware that another downside to using the weapon is that it doesn't have much range to it, so you need to be in a much closer range to actually be quite effective with the weapon. But in general, the loadout is quite good. I recommend a lot of players to use it. Newer players, I don't recommend that you use it straight away with the smart pistol. Use something else with it. But once you understand how to use the main class and such, then start using the smart pistol and start learning how to use it as early as possible. Doing so will allow you to get better with the weapon, and doing so will allow you to also train in better eye and hand coordination, as this weapon does require quite a lot. Do I recommend it for competitive play? 50-50. Like I said, you're going to have to change the boost to something else, but if you're fine with using the boost, by all means go ahead. But in general, the loadout's quite fun, and I did enjoy it, although I did kind of rage quite a lot using the weapon, especially the boost, since the boost is kind of a annoying type weapon to use on a large map, such as Eden for example. But anyways, that's the end of the video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then leave a like for more. If you didn't, then leave a dislike. Also, leave a comment in the comment section stating what you liked about the video, and maybe leave a comment in the comment section stating what type of loadout you would like me to do, as I'll be doing plenty of these on a regular basis. So also share and subscribe for more if you did enjoy the content. So thank you for watching, and I do hope to see you again soon.